When we receive non-specific information, our brains naturally attempt to make connections that compare and contrast that information with what we already know. This can lead to incorrect and sometimes absurd beliefs unless you know how to spot the problem. Today on Odin's Throne, we discuss the Barnum Effect and how to avoid the problems that can come from it. Have you ever heard of cold reading? Well, probably, but let me give you the synopsis. Cold reading happens when a psychic or a medium or an astrologist or a mind reader or any of those types gives you vague information about your life that could really be attributed to anyone. This idea is the entirety of the concept of horoscopes. Every day, horoscope columns are written online and in newspapers across the world, and every day millions of people read them and are able to place them in the context of their own lives. They take the horoscope information and let the Barnum Effect take over. The brain works quickly to attach meaning to phrases like the following. Check and see if this applies to you. You enjoy being with friends, but also like a night in. Or you tend to be hard on yourself. Or you don't like it when people put constraints on your life. Or you often doubt if you've made the right choices in life. Of course, the natural response to these questions should be, well, yeah, no kidding. But with the Barnum Effect, we look for ways to make these statements about us in a unique way. And this is because our mind doesn't do a very good job of being critical unless we stay on top of it. Now, I know what you're saying. You're probably saying, well, I don't believe in psychics anyways, so this doesn't really affect me. Well, you might be right, but you're probably not. The Barnum Effect is not limited to the psychic world. In fact, it has probably happened to you many times throughout your life without you even noticing. So let's take this example of Janie and her friends and see if it applies to you. Janie overhears her group of friends talking about someone they don't like. Janie can only make out some of what they're saying, but they describe someone with brown hair, and Janie has brown hair too. Janie's mind starts to run wild. What did she do to upset her friends? Why have they forsaken her to a life of sitting alone in the lunchroom and crying on her bed on prom night? Why? If Janie lets the Barnum Effect take over, she's probably in for some sleepless nights and plenty of drama. But in reality, Janie's friends weren't talking about Janie. They were just talking about the gross lunch lady who nobody likes. She's the worst. So you can pretty clearly see here how Janie's brain took non-specific information and made it about herself. So maybe you're not Janie, but you most certainly are susceptible to the Barnum Effect. How do we avoid getting caught up in the Barnum Effect? Well, the number one way is always be on the lookout for when your brain tries to fill in gaps of information. So pretend at all times that you're a detective. You must gather all the possible information before jumping to any conclusions. Don't be like Janie, and for God's sake, stop giving your money to psychics to hear things that aren't even about you. So that's the Barnum Effect. Hopefully, you're one step closer to understanding your brain and the sneaky ways it can undermine you. If you enjoyed this content, like and subscribe to Odin's Throne today. And if you're interested in other ways your brain can trick you, check out the other videos in this series.